This is my WWE Wrestlemania 26 pay-per-view review, and pay-per-view just went off there, and I gotta say, this WrestleMania did live up to the expectations I thought it would. A number of good matches on here. There's 3 matches on here that I would say that are probably, 4 stars or higher quality matches than, 2, 3.5 star matches, and really everything else probably, other than maybe 1 or 2 matches, everything else was at least decent, average, or watchable, or close to a good match. Now, the way they kind of built the show up at the first part kind of felt like they were kind of building very slowly, because the first 2 matches were kind of, matches that were pretty much throwaway matches for the most part, which the first matchup was R-Truth and John Morrison versus ShoMiz, Big Show, and The Miz for the Unified Tag Team titles, and this was going along pretty good, but I think it was one of the matches that probably, if given a little more time, probably given another 4 or 5 minutes, probably could have been a whole lot better than what it actually was. It just felt like it was rushed pretty much, and Big Show and The Miz retain after Big Show hits a knockout punch to Morrison in the match, and about a 1.5 star match. Really nothing to write home about with that match. Then the next matchup was Cody Rhodes versus Ten-Diva versus Randy Orton. And this was pretty much like everyone probably expected the way it would go. It was built up like Randy Orton was going against Cody Rhodes and Ten-Diva pretty much in a handicap style match at the beginning. Then Cody Rhodes or Ten-Diva within the match tried to go for the pinfall, and they turned on each other. And then at the end of the match, Randy Orton hits the RKO to Ten-Diva to win the match in I would say about 2 1/4 stars, maybe 2.5 star match. Before the RKO to Ten-Diva to end the match, Randy Orton did the punt kick to Cody Rhodes in the match. So pretty, watchable match. Nothing really special, but not a bad match. Then the next matchup was the Money in the Bank match, which this is the match I think probably should have opened up the pay-per-view, because the first 2 matches were kind of matches that were kind of throwaway matches. The tag match didn't get really that much time, and the Cody Rhodes, Ten-Diva and Orton match was kind of a match that wasn't really built up that good, and I think the Money in the Bank should have been the main, not the main event, but the opening of the pay-per-view. The opening of the pay-per-view should have been the Money in the Bank match, which was Kofi Kingston versus MVP versus Evan Bourne versus Jack Swagger versus Shelton Benjamin versus Matt Hardy versus Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre versus Kane versus Christian in the Money in the Bank match. And this match had a shocking winner to it. I did not expect the winner to be who it was. Saw a lot of good stuff in here. Now, I think this match could have had a little more, high flying and more high spots than what it did, because it seemed like it kind of held back a little bit, because I was expecting a little more from Evan Bourne, but Evan Bourne did pretty good in there. They did one spot where they, kind of like last year, where Christian was about to hit the kill switch to someone last year, like he tried that this year to a ladder that was placed on the top rope to a ladder that was placed in the middle of the ring, them two attaching each other, and then Evan Bourne and Christian were fighting up there. Evan Bourne reverses it, knocks Christian down, and hits the shooting star off the ladder. Very good right there. Kofi was probably the best person in this match, I would say, as far as some of the innovative stuff he did in the match. He did one thing where at one point in this match, a ladder broke apart in half, and he used that ladder as kind of stilts within the match, and then Drew McIntyre came in there. I would say pretty much everyone did what they needed to do, but Shelton was kind of the surpriser. He didn't really do as much as you would expect. Like, every year, Shelton, obviously everyone knows Shelton has 0 chance of ever winning the Money in the Bank match, but Shelton is normally that guy that always does some insane spot or something. He really didn't do much of this year. And the shocking winner of this Money in the Bank was actually Jack Swagger. Jack Swagger is the Money in the Bank, he has the Money in the Bank briefcase right now, and I think that when he cashes in, he will win the world title. It does seem like WWE's kind of behind him, because you kind of got to think that he's kind of one of those guys before this match that really wasn't doing much. He was kind of being jobbed out a lot, and it kind of makes sense of him winning this. Now, I would have preferred Christian winning it, because I think you could have built up an Edge versus Christian program, or having just Christian contend for the world title. I think that would have been better, but Jack Swagger, I'm a fan of him as well, so I don't really have too much of a problem with him. I would give the match 3.5 stars. Like I said, could have been a little better, but still, it was a good ladder match, enough good stuff in it to make it a good overall match. But like I said, should have been the opener. I think it probably would have worked better as the opener of the show, and it could have been a little more stuff within it. I think some of the competitors in the match might have held back some stuff within the match. Then the next matchup was Sheamus versus Triple H, and this actually was surprisingly not that bad of a match. It's actually a little better than I was expecting. Wasn't anything spectacular. Triple H picks up the victory after hitting the pedigree to Sheamus within the match in about a 2 3/4 star match. Pretty much a average to good match. It was a little better than I was expecting, but nothing spectacular, though. It was probably the best match that Sheamus has had so far within WWE. I will say that Triple H did do a good job, kind of put him over to the level, kind of making him shine and make him look like a star, but at the same time, not winning the match, but at the same time, kind of putting him over even though he didn't win. But it was, a decent match and pretty good as well. It was pretty good, a little better than I was expecting. Then the next matchup was CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio, and I would say this match, obviously, the stipulation was if Rey Mysterio loses this match, he has to join the Shredded Society. Now, this match, I would say it was good, but it was a little too short, and it was a little disappointing. I was expecting a little more from these two within the match, but you got to think at one thing that this is their first match with each other within this feud that they're having right now, so they kind of probably held back a little bit for WrestleMania, and they'll probably have, a better match at the next pay-per-view. Extreme Rules have some gimmick-based match at that pay-per-view, and, there'll probably be a feud that will last a couple pay-per-views, and Rey Mysterio picks up the victory, so Rey Mysterio doesn't join the Shredded Society, which I think that probably, if they would have went that route, I think they could have, made the feud continue better than what it probably will. But with even though Rey Mysterio won the match, CM Punk, they can continue the feud some way or another. And it was a lot of good back and forth action between the two, a lot of good counters, reversals, and the end of the match saw where not CM Punk, but Rey Mysterio hit the West Coast Pop and the splash to CM Punk within the match in a 3.5 star match. Might be given a little too much, about 3 1/4, 3.5 stars. It was a good match, but it was a little disappointing. I was expecting a little more from it, but still, nonetheless, a good match. Now, the next matchup was Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon in a no-holds-barred match. Now, before the match started, what they did within this match was Vince McMahon came out there on a mic saying, Bret Hart, I'm going to screw you again, and I'm going to screw you here at WrestleMania, and pretty much saying that I paid your family off, Bruce Hart is going to be the special guest referee, and all your other family members are going to be lumberjacks within this match. Then Bret Hart gets on the mic saying that we probably knew you were going to go this route, and I told my family just to go along with it and play along with you, Vince McMahon, and we're going to double-cross you. And then obviously the family was helping him here, and Bruce Hart was the referee in this match. Now, this match is one of those matches I can't really give a star rating because it's not really a match that's fair enough to give a star rating, not because it was, something god-awful and terrible, because I think it accomplished the goals, what it needed to do, which was close the door with the whole Montreal Screwjob thing with this match, have Vince McMahon tap out with the sharpshooter within the match, and at the same time, you had the Hart Dynasty out there, and at the same time, with that, kind of give them a little rub off of them, and possibly, WWE will possibly do something with them now, maybe kind of since they did something in this match, kind of giving a rub off of them. And more or less, this match was Bret Hart just back and forth, punches and just a brawl. And a lot of the match was really just his family members beating up Vince McMahon outside the ring, then him getting involved in the ring. And Bret Hart just kept on beating the hell out of Vince McMahon with a steel chair. Then he ended up putting him in the sharpshooter for the victory, and Vince McMahon taps out. So the door closes with the whole Montreal Screwjob. And like I said, the accomplishments of the match that you needed to get done were accomplished. You put over the Hart Dynasty, kind of, give them the rub off in the match, and you had Bret Hart tap out Vince McMahon, and you closed the door with the whole Montreal thing. So the goal of the match was accomplished, but it's one of those matches that I can't really give a rating because it's one of those matches that's kind of not fair to give a rating. What I'll probably put in the description, I'll just put, completed his goals, and it was actually somewhat entertaining. It wasn't as bad as what I was expecting. I was expecting a whole lot worse than what it actually was. And then the next matchup was the first world title match of the evening. It was Chris Jericho versus Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this match was very, very good. A lot of good back and forth action, a lot of good counters, a lot of good reversals. And one good part in this match was Edge was going for the spear, and at the same time Chris Jericho ran towards him and hit the code breaker. Edge kicks out of that. Then at the end of the match, Jericho hits the code breaker again, so Jericho retains the World Heavyweight Championship. Then after the match, you saw Edge attack Chris Jericho after the match and knock him out, hit him on top, got him on top of one of the announce tables. Edge got up on the other one, ran through, speared him through a barricade off the table, which is a very good spot. And overall, the match I would give 4 stars. very good match, and looks like with the ending of the match and obviously Jericho retaining, the feud is going to continue with the two, which I think these two could have a lot of great matches. I think they did a lot of good stuff in here, but I think they could even do a better match again against each other, and this was a very good world title match, very good match, 4 stars. Then the next matchup was the match that no one cared about. This was the Ten-Diva Tag Match that was just pretty much added at the last minute. This was Michelle McCool, Maurice, Layla, Alicia Fox, Vicky Guerrero, and I think I missed Maurice as well, versus Mickie James, Kelly, Eve, Gail Kim, and Beth Phoenix. Obviously, this was the worst match of the evening. No one expected much from it, I don't think. And the match wasn't really much of anything. The end of the match comes when Vicky Guerrero pins Kelly at the end of the match in a dud or 1 star. 1 star or a dud. I haven't figured out what I'll give it. Probably, a 1 star at best. It wasn't much of anything at all, and pretty much I think everyone going into it knew that would be the worst match of the evening. Then the next matchup was kind of the shocker of the night. Not that, shocker that I didn't think it was going to be a good match, but shocker of the positioning of it, because I thought this was going to be the main event of the pay-per-view at WrestleMania 26. They actually put Undertaker and Shawn Michaels as the main event at WrestleMania 26 and put Batista and John Cena up next for the WWE Championship, which I kind of have mixed feelings with that. Obviously, business-wise, I think it would have been a better move to put Batista and Cena as the main event, but at the same time, it kind of made the whole believable flat factor that Shawn Michaels had even more of a chance since it was main event in the evening, and it was the match, everyone cared more about. That I didn't hate it main eventing, but I'm one of those people that say the main event should almost always be the world title match, especially at Mania, but I didn't have too much of a problem with it, and I think Batista and Cena, even though it wasn't the main event, they had a hell of a match. I would say this match was definitely better than their SummerSlam 2008 match. A lot of good stuff in here, a lot of good back and forth action between those two. Really good match. It was completely different than obviously the Jericho and Edge match. It was pretty much like a powerhouse type match. 2 big guys going against each other back and forth. And a lot of good, false finishes in the match. A lot of good stuff. And the end of the match comes when Batista was going for the Batista bomb onto Cena. Cena reversed it, got out of it, and got him into the STFU, and Batista taps out. So that was kind of the surprising thing that I didn't think was going to happen. I thought Batista was going to lose this match, but it kind of surprised me that Batista tapped out. But at the same time, he's kind of playing the coward heel right now, so it doesn't really hurt his credibility that he tapped out. 4 stars. The 2 world title matches, I give the same exact rating, but I would say the Batista and John Cena match was just a little bit better, or about equal to the Jericho and Edge match. Both were great world title matches. And then the final match of the evening was the Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels match. This was the no disqualification, the career versus Shriek match between them two, and this was pretty much everything that I thought it would be. It was a great match. I would say it's about equal or maybe a tad bit better just because of the emotional attachment of the match. That it might have been a tad bit better than last year or about equal. I would say more or less it was probably about equal as far as quality of the match. A lot of good stuff in it, a lot of good in-ring psychology. A lot of the match centered around Undertaker's knee in the match and Shawn Michaels working over that. And Undertaker did a lot of good selling in the match. A lot of good back and forth stuff in the match. You saw Shawn Michaels, it took 3 tombstone pile drivers for him to lose this match. That was the thing that ended the match, and the end of the match was just perfect, I thought. Was at the end of the match, Undertaker was pretty much doing his symbol, his sign that, it's over, you're done, Shawn. And then Undertaker kind of hesitates and says, just stay down, Shawn. And Shawn Michaels, refuses to stay down, gets up. Undertaker hits the tombstone. It's the end of the match, and Undertaker's streak continues. He's 18-0, and I think that was the best business move to make, is keep the streak alive. Don't end the streak at WrestleMania. And it was best to have Undertaker go over. And it was an excellent match. And thankfully, they didn't do the interference angle with Triple H getting involved in the match that was pretty much rumored around that Triple H might have had some involvement in the match. Thankfully, they didn't go that route, because if they would have went that route, it would have hurt the quality of the match. I would give this match about 4.5 stars. Definitely the best match of the night. Great match. Probably about equal or just maybe a little better than last year. I would say about equal. That's what I would say with the match. Both of them were great matches. And I know some people probably might give it a higher rate, and some might give it 4 3/4. Some might even give it 5 stars. But 4.5 stars, that's what I give it. It was a great match. Definitely probably the best match that I've seen this year so far is this match. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Great match. And overall, this WrestleMania was a very good WrestleMania. Now, there were a few matches, the first 2 matches of the event, kind of, dragged the event on at the beginning at first. They were kind of building up slowly at the beginning, but you had a pretty good Money in the Bank match, 3.5 stars. You had Mysterio and CM Punk. Even though they both held back a little bit, still a very good match between those two. Just like the Money in the Bank, 3.5 stars, and both world title matches, I gave 4 stars. Those were great matches. And the main event delivered to the level that I thought it would. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels had a great match at the ending of the pay-per-view, and I would give this pay-per-view, might be a little too high, but I think those 5 matches were so good that, especially 3 of them were over 4 stars, that I would have to give this WrestleMania a 9 out of 10. Definitely a must-see WrestleMania. Probably the best WrestleMania that I've seen since WrestleMania 19. Doesn't top 19. I still think top 19's one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time, but this is probably one that's came close of being almost as good as WrestleMania 19. And yeah, that's it for my WrestleMania 26 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.